and welcome to the Everything You podcast. My name is Nicole and I have my wonderful client Bex here with me for the first time on the podcast. Introducing Bex, we've been working together since September 2023. Bex has lost over 30 kilos, 67 pounds, which is just under 5 stone. And she's been absolutely relentless and she's been an amazing client. I wanted to get her on the podcast because I want to give a bit of Bex to so many people that are, in the same position that she was, and to give an insight into how it can be possible, even though we might tell ourselves stories that it's not. So welcome, Bex.
Thank you.
And thank you for coming on. Yeah, how did you do it? The question is, how did you do it?
So I think the most important thing is definitely being ready to do it, because you do still have to put the work in. It took me a while. I used to have excuses all the time for why I couldn't do it. I'm really busy. I've got young twins. I have 2 jobs. I run a business. There's a lot going on. But it got to the point where I was like, no, I really am fed up of feeling like this and looking like this, and I want to do something about it. Things you were saying, because you followed me on Instagram, so I followed you back, and the things you were saying was making sense to me, and I felt like you could help me, because I knew I would be more likely to do better with somebody else helping me. Even though I knew the basics, I knew, eat better, eat a bit less.
Everyone knows, don't they?
Move more, all that kind of stuff. Exactly. But then it's like knowing exactly what to do, that it doesn't get boring as well. Like that you change it up and I don't have to think about it.
Yeah.
I just do what you tell me.
Yeah. What was the pivotal moment, would you say, that you're like, okay, I have to do something? Was there anything?
It's sort of a build-up of things, I think. Every time I was going on holiday, there was always that kind of, I never really looked in the mirror and felt down about myself. But it was certain things that I would want to wear on holiday and I'm like, oh, actually, I'm not sure that does look good. Or, it's a confidence thing as well. And even though it's not all about looks, it's, again, getting out of breath easily. It was the health thing. A member of my family died unexpectedly from heart disease. I know my grandfather died quite young from heart disease. So there's a family history of that. So I was at higher risk of problems with that. There's also diabetes in my family. So I knew being overweight as I was, especially, I was at risk of that. Getting older, approaching menopause, I know it's potentially going to get harder. So there's all these things in my head. I'm like, if I don't do this now, it's just going to get harder and harder.
Yeah, okay. So in terms of your mindset, because I think you have one of the strongest mindsets I've ever come across, because, you don't just lose weight by accident. You don't just go on this journey and achieve what you've achieved in this amount of time by accident. So I'm really intrigued to know a bit more about your mindset and what you do when the hurdles come along, as they do for everybody. What would you say is the main thing that you focus on when you do have a hurdle that comes in that means that it makes things more difficult for you?
It's easier now because of what I have achieved, because I know that I can do it. So if there is a hurdle, it's like, well, it's okay, it's a hurdle, I can deal with this and I'll still be on track. So in the beginning, it was having you there to say that to me. It's like, okay, so this is coming up, so this is how we can work around it. And it just makes it easier knowing that you've got my back, you're never judging me. And for me, a massive part of it to do with the mental health as well is not feeling like a failure. I'm not very good at that. I like to feel like I'm succeeding. And you've never made me feel like that. It's always like, okay, this is a bit tricky and how can we adapt it? So I think that's sort of part of it for me.
Yeah, and I always think that with you in particular, like your lifestyle is, you've got 2 jobs, like you said, you've got young children, you've got a husband, you've got social life, you've got so many things that go on, like in terms of those things that you have, like talk to me about a bit more, just to tell everyone about your business and your work schedule, because those are the 2 things that are...
Yeah, so I've got quite a stressful job, and to be fair, I think previously I'm a dentist part-time, 2 days a week. And in the practice I was in before, it was really stressful. It's quite a stressful job anyway, but that particular practice I found very stressful. There was a lot of pressure, targets and things like that, and I was miserable. And so I love food, and I just ate more, and it was like that temporary fix of this is going to make me feel happy, but I was feeling worse because I wasn't healthy. So there was that, and so I finally managed to leave, found another job, and I absolutely love it there. I've got an amazing team, I love everybody, my nurse is fantastic, so I'm a lot happier at work, and that's made a big difference. And so I felt like, it's been a couple of years I've been there, and it took a while to sort of feel like, okay, now I'm ready to give that brain space to something else to work on this, because when there's all that going on, it is really hard to focus, and it is hard to find the time to do this, because it does take time.
Yeah, of course.
So I kind of needed to be in a better place there. Plus running my business, that's really difficult as well, trying to manage that around. But I love it. It makes me happy.
Yeah.
But there's still that kind of, the pressure to do things and always being on social media and trying to market things. And so once I got to a point where I felt a bit more settled in my business, again, I felt like I had a bit more mental space that I could focus on myself, my body and my health.
Yeah.
So, I do have a lot going on and I like having a lot going on, but sometimes it was getting a bit stressful.
Mm-hmm.
However, now that I'd gotten a bit more stable with those things, and the kids have gotten a bit older, which helps as well. So, they're 10 now. When they were younger, it was a lot more difficult, particularly having twins.
Mm-hmm.
But now they're a bit older, school is a bit easier, things like that. It's just, I find all those things much easier now that I've done this, because I have got more energy, I'm sleeping better, I'm eating better, I play with the kids more, they do still complain that we have to walk to school now because I need to get my steps in, and they're like, oh, so yeah, they don't always love you, but
it is such a nice walk. When I see it in the stories, I'm like, oh, that is such a nice walk. But
yeah.
I'm like,
It's just when it's raining that they complain.
And in terms of like your relationship, how do you feel like the changes that you've made for yourself has impacted your relationship in any way?
I think definitely. And hearing Nick even talk about it, because I had a client party last weekend, and a few of my clients were asking me about it, because one of them has already signed up to you and is doing really well as well. She was there and we were talking about it, and a couple more people were asking. I know one of them is about to start with you as well.
Yeah.
It's like a club.
It's like a club.
And so we were talking about it, and I've completely forgotten the point of the question.
About your relationship.
Oh yeah, and Nick, so Nick was there, and so people were asking him, like, if you noticed a difference. He said, yeah, and it was really nice because the way he said it, he sounded quite impressed. And I was like, oh, and he was like,
nice.
When Bex decides to do something, she's determined.